Imagine opening a random website, and suddenly a stranger knows your name, your face, and even your home address. Most people think the internet ends at Google and social media, but the deep web hides things that don't stay on your screen. Today, I'm going to share 3 terrifying deep web stories, where in one case, just one click changed everything. Story 1. I made the mistake of searching the deep web one time. I saw on Reddit some people talking about this thing called Tor that allows you to search the deep web. It was basically a post asking for the strangest things people had come across on the deep web. Some of the things people mentioned intrigued me, so I went along and downloaded Tor. Someone on Reddit posted a link to basically a hidden wiki with a bunch of useful links to the dark web. Oh, I was shocked at how many child pornography links there were. I did my best to steer clear of anything like that. I did come across a link that took me to another page with a bunch of links called the Black Pages. The page was black with a bunch of red and yellow links. The red pages seemed to be the strangest. There was one link called Personal Assassin and another called Dead Pets. Reading some of those links, I realized how messed up this whole deep web thing really was. I clicked a yellow link and ended up at yet another page full of links. There I found something that seemed interesting. It was called Secret Society Chat. I clicked on the link. It took even longer than all the other pages to load. I stared at a blank white screen for a good minute before the page finally turned black. Then a chat box popped up. Next to the chat box was a black video screen. I wish I had just clicked the back button at that point, but instead I typed, "Hey." What happened next was weird. Someone wearing a mask, sitting in a dark room, appeared on the screen. My heart nearly stopped when I saw my own face appear on the screen as well. The website was using my webcam, even though I always keep it off. I quickly covered the camera with my thumb and tried to close the page, but my taskbar was gone. The minimize and exit buttons were gone too. I tried hitting Control plus Alt plus Delete, but nothing happened. Oh, then I heard a muffled, distorted voice coming from my speakers. I could only assume it was the guy in the mask speaking. He was masking his voice with some kind of voice changer. I clearly remember what he said. "I still see you, James." My heart sank. He had said my name. I held down the power button on my laptop, and it felt like an eternity before it finally shut off. I didn't know if I should report what happened to the police, but from what I knew, everything was anonymous with Tor. So it didn't seem worth it. It was obviously just some low-life hacker. I deleted the Tor browser and tried to move on with my life. But about 2 weeks later, my mom threw a letter into my room. She said it came in the mail for me. There was no return address. I ripped the letter open and unfolded the paper inside. In huge letters that filled the page were 3 words: "Don't come back." I felt like I was going to throw up from the sickening feeling it gave me. I crumpled up the paper and threw it away. I didn't call the cops. It seemed pointless. I didn't tell my mom either because it would only make her panic, but I still have no idea how they got my address. Story 2. My worst experience on Tor was stumbling upon a horrific page called Human Experiments. I don't remember exactly where I found it. It was buried deep somewhere inside a link archive page. The homepage described the content on the site. I was disturbed just reading it. In a red, bloody font, it said, "The experiments conducted for this website are to prove that not all humans are born equal. The people chosen to be experimented on were usually homeless, but sometimes they were just unfortunate people who got caught by these sick individuals. These so-called experiments ranged from starvation, water restriction, reactions to extreme pain and torture infections and diseases, even infant tolerance to X-rays, pain, and heat. I had seen horrific shock videos before, like 3 guys, 1 hammer, so I thought I'd be prepared. I wasn't. I made the mistake of clicking the first link, experiment photos. I had to fight the urge to puke. I don't even want to describe what I saw. I'll just say there were innocent victims, people just like you and me, going through things nobody should ever experience. Against my better judgment, I kept scrolling, and it only got worse. Soon I reached a section dedicated to infants and toddlers. I had somehow reached the bottom of the page when suddenly a small box popped up on the screen. At first I didn't know what it was, then text appeared. "Did you enjoy the site?" I realized it was a chat box. I typed, "Who is this?" The stranger replied, avoiding my question. "What was your favorite part of the site?" I asked again, "Who is this?" This time, he answered. He said he was the site owner. I told him the site was sick and inhumane, and that I would report it immediately. That was my biggest mistake. After a short pause, he replied, I see your name is Michael, and you live in Massachusetts." He was right. Instead of closing the browser immediately, I stupidly typed, "No, you're wrong." 10 seconds later, he sent something that made my heart stop. My full home address. His final message said, "Have a nice day." I slammed my laptop shut and immediately called the police before even telling my parents. When the police arrived, they wanted to see the website. But unfortunately, Tor doesn't save browsing history, and I couldn't remember the link. The cops told us that if what I said was true, we should find another place to stay as soon as possible. Thankfully, we were already planning to move. Around that time, I couldn't believe how quickly my parents managed to sell the house and find another one. I apologized to them every day for a month. Maybe the guy was bluffing, but I wasn't willing to take that chance. I don't think anyone should ever explore the deep web. There's nothing good waiting there. Story 3. There used to be a website on the dark web called the Silk Road. It was an underground, illegal drug marketplace. I had heard about it through friends who had used it before. Our weed dealer was moving out of state, and he was our only connection. So my friends started using this site and claimed it was legit. The timing couldn't have been better. My parents were going to Atlantic City for the weekend, so I downloaded the Tor browser and checked it out. The biggest seller on the site was cannabis, of course. I left a comment on one of the newer listings asking if anyone could confirm it was legit. About an hour later, I had a message. It was from a user named Illy B. He said he saw my comment and offered to sell me an ounce for a really low price, but he only did local deals. And I had done local deals before and never had any problems. So I told him I was in Washington. Turns out he lived only an hour away. I suggested meeting halfway, but he said something surprising. He said he would just meet me in my hometown. I couldn't turn down that offer. He said he'd arrive around 9 p.m. after work. I told him to meet me in the Wendy's parking lot. Then he started asking weird questions. my address, who I live with. I didn't want to give my address to a drug dealer, and so I lied and told him I lived alone. Later, he texted saying he found a better place to do the deal. It was behind an old, closed-down retail store at the edge of town. My sketch alarm was going off, but I was desperate for weed. So I drove there. It only took 5 minutes. I parked behind the building, but no one was there. Then he texted saying he was on his way. That made no sense. If he lived an hour away, how did he know about this place? I waited 20 minutes. No response. And finally, I decided something sketchy was going on and drove back home. It took 10 minutes. When I got there, my front door was open. I knew I had closed it. At first, I thought my parents came home early. I walked inside. The light in my parents' bedroom upstairs was on. I heard shuffling noises. I shouted, "Mom? Dad?" The noise stopped. Then the bedroom door slammed shut. My dad's car wasn't even there. That's when I realized whoever was inside wasn't my parents. Like an idiot, I grabbed a carving knife from the kitchen and ran upstairs. I slammed the bedroom door open. No one was there, but my mom's jewelry case was open. I grabbed the phone and called 911. Suddenly, something grabbed me from under the bed. I stabbed downward with the knife. The man screamed in pain. Because the phone was corded, I couldn't leave the room. All I managed to tell the police was that someone broke into my house and gave them my address. The man crawled out from under the bed with the knife stuck in his arm. He didn't even look at me. He just ran out the front door and drove away. The best I could describe him was a black man wearing a backwards hat, ragged clothing, driving a black Honda Accord. Of course, I couldn't tell the police everything. I couldn't bring up the website. All I could do was describe him. So he's still out there somewhere, home free. And the only explanation I have is that he somehow hacked me and got my address.